After all the hype that you've heard over the course of the last 2 years about the Coloradans for responsible wildlife management, we're proud to announce our new venture, the Women of Conservation calendar that showcases and celebrates the women that helped defeat Proposition 127. 14 months of the calendar of all of the women that helped, plus more, the convention dates, deadlines, draw application dates, commission meetings, and things going on at the Colorado State Capitol. This is an opportunity to support CRWM and the efforts that we continually work on through the Colorado State Capitol, Colorado Parks and Wildlife Commission, and to address all of the ballot issues that continually arise. We've got some fantastic sponsors that help prop up and just showcase who these women are. Rodeo queens, barrel racers, houndswomen, general sportsmen, mothers, and every avocation you could think, from archery hunting to muzzleloading to rifle hunting and waterfowl as well. These women stuck their necks out to help save the hunt. Get it for yourself. It makes a great gift. Make sure you get it before Christmas, and look at all the other important dates that are coming up. $24.95, SaveTheHuntColorado.com.
Through the Gates is produced under the support of the Coloradans for Responsible Wildlife Management to enhance, promote, and defend the North American model of wildlife conservation and responsible wildlife management. That's our mission. We're engaged in fighting at every level so that wildlife management remains science-based and conservation continues to work for our wildlife. To learn more and join the movement, visit SaveTheHuntColorado.com. The North American model of wildlife conservation is the greatest conservation model in the world. It's a success story that should be shared and celebrated because everybody is a part of it.
Well, we've got a great episode of Through the Gates to Save the Hunt, and I am pleased as hell to be sitting here with Mr. Randy Jackson of Rustic Living in Alamosa, Colorado. Rustic Living is a great sponsor, new sponsor of Through the Gates, along with the Coloradans for Responsible Wildlife Management and what we've been doing. And it's cool to see, because I've been using this product for a long time, not only on a commercial side with our store that we use for decoration and stuff, but we're gonna have some of this product in the podcast, and to be able to turn around and have the open conversation about lifestyle, tradition, and heritage, and how log furniture is created, and how this business model has kind of helped this family be able to survive over the course of the last 30 years. So, Mr. Randy Jackson, appreciate the opportunity and look forward to getting into the weeds about what I deal with on wood has to do with normally beavers, but
Right.
You're dealing with wood when you're actually making stuff. You're the engineer of log furniture, are you not?
Yeah, we are the beavers.
Yeah, you're the beavers. So,
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about you and yourself and how you got into this, and just a background to where we can kind of get into the conversation.
Well, when I was a sophomore in college, I built a swing for my mom for Mother's Day. And then some people saw it and says, "Ooh, these are nice, you ought to make them." So I started making them for friends and took them to some county fairs. Anyway, that summer we sold about 80 swings. And so that winter I thought, man, I had to make some of these. So then the next summer I started building. That winter I built several and I took them to Denver, and some of the stores up there were just buying them out truckload at a time. And by the end of the summer, they wanted different products because the outdoor season ends, in fall. So they recruited me to make some bunk beds, some log bunk beds, and different products. And then from there, it just kind of grew and grew and grew. So.
And you just started out as a gift idea.
Yeah. I had no intention of starting a business.
Most people do like hand printing clay in kindergarten or something, but you turned around it into a lifelong venture.
Uh-huh.
And when you were doing it, did you think that this was a business model that you could carry you on in perpetuity? I mean, you say you looked at different options of what you could do, but you were in college?
Yeah.
So what were you studying in college?
Business.
But not log business.
No, just business. So then I did it for extra money to get through school, and I had a separate job, but eventually I had to quit that and just focus on building furniture. So by the time I graduated, I had 3 part-time employees, and I had that crossroads. I was really debating because it was going well, but not that well.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, do I, get a real job or do I keep building? So I talked about it with my wife, and I says, well, if I'm ever going to start a business, now's the time. We didn't have kids yet. So I was like, well, let's see how it goes when I can do it full time once I graduated. And so, we kind of took the risk, and I just kept building, and eventually it was able to get big enough to, provide for us.
So it's not like you were doing this in your dorm room or anything, chiseling away and using well, I mean, I don't think so.
No, well, we were married, and so we had a house with just like a 12 by 12 shed. So I was working out of a little shed.
Really?
And then eventually moved into a small shop about 1,200 square feet. And then that's when I started hiring people to help make parts and stuff.
So back in the day when you were doing that, I mean, was it new for you to be able to acquire product, to be able to turn around and make stuff out of?
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like you just went around and picked up sticks. Or maybe you did.
So no, sourcing the material was really challenging in the beginning because who sells this stuff?
Yeah.
And I was driving up to the mountains myself and just cutting trees and bringing them home. But yeah, it took a lot of time, and that was pre-internet. Don't forget. So I go to this thing people don't even hear about anymore called the Thomas Register, where you look up manufacturers, and you have to cold call people, and you're trying to find chain, you're trying to find bolts, trying to find washers in bulk. You
Right.
can't go to a local hardware store and buy 10,000 washers.
Yeah.
So sourcing material in the beginning was really challenging. But we worked through all that and figured all that out.
So after a year or two, how many products were you manufacturing at the time?
Within a couple of years, we mostly did bedroom in the beginning. We had some beds, some bunk beds, and most of the dressers, nightstands. We probably only had 12 to 15 products after a couple of years.
And it was pretty much, that was your mainstay. I mean, this is what we did. Did you get more people asking about, can you do this?
Always. And so then people wanted dining sets. So I had to figure out the chair design and the table design. And then they wanted the buffets and bookcases to match. We got into office furniture. Every year we were adding designs.
Really?
Every year. Well, every couple of months. But by request, people request products, and so I would design them and figure out how we're going to make them, and just kept going. Because when people want log, they want to make sure they can get the whole collection. So it's like, well, I don't want to have a table and nothing else in the kitchen that matches,
Right.
or a bed and no dressers. So you have to kind of keep building out the space. So.
And you've modified your approach, well, significantly. I mean, to where you're at today. But was it a trial and error of learning how to not just make it, but how to create it to where it wasn't going to split and it was properly dried, and if people were taking it to different climates or any of that?
Yeah. That's probably one of the most painful learning curves that you'll have. So I was buying my lumber from mills, sawmills, and they just, production mills, their goal is to get their lumber out of the kiln and sold and get the next batch in. And I kept, I don't know what the right word, debating with them that you got to get it drier, because I would ship tables all over the country and they would warp or crack. And we warranty everything, so I just replaced them, but it was getting expensive. So finally, I researched the technology. We put in a vacuum, something called a vacuum kiln. So you get your water above boiling inside the vacuum, and then it turns to steam, and you put it, the negative pressure sucks the water out of the boards. So we can get our moisture content down to about 4%, which is plenty to guarantee you're never going to warp or split or crack or have any issues. And so once we implemented that technology, problem went away. It took a while to get there. Like I said, it was painful to get there.
That was how far into the process of you doing the whole.
Quite a ways.
Was it?
Yeah. More than halfway through. Yeah.
Really? So there was a lot that went for the first 10 or 15 years of you getting to a point of, expanding, but then also maybe finishes, or maybe the different types of wood, or maybe how long the wood had been standing in the field, or how long it had been in the, from the field to get here. But you weren't always here. Once you started coming into this location, you expanded, I don't know, what, 3-fold, 10-fold?
Yeah, well, like I said, our first shop was just a couple miles from here, and it was 1,200 square feet. We now have over 100,000 square feet.
100,000 square feet of manufacturing and showroom.
And warehouse.
That's a significant change from your college days and making a swing for your mom.
Yeah, 23 acres. To house all the raw material out there, the logs, and then the saw logs and everything we have.
So since that time, how many things have you had to build for your mom or your family?
Lots. Everything.
Everywhere you go, it's all log, doesn't matter what it is.
Well, we build farmhouse products now too. So some of what we have is farmhouse furniture. But
It's funny too, because you look at how people get into different things, and I think in the long run, maybe they don't intend on doing it at the level that you're doing it at? I mean, you say 100,000 square foot. That's like the size of a Cabela's.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, that's a big operation. And that's cool that you can turn around and do that off of making a swing for your mom, you know, 30 some odd years ago.
Yeah, I just grew and grew. And actually for the first, I want to say 10 years, we never did any marketing. It just grew.
just
word of mouth. It just grew. It
Really?
grew and grew and grew. And that's one reason we got so big is I just couldn't build enough. I mean, we were adding on almost every year.
Did you do a lot of like trade shows or flea
Yeah.
markets or just
Well, it was
roadside stops or?
post 2008, you know, when things started to slow down. I started in 1996 and didn't do any marketing until 2008 when kind of during the housing crisis, you know, and
Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac stuff.
all that. And then when the housing market hit the brakes, the economy kind of wasn't so great. I noticed that sales were kind of drying up a little bit. And it's interesting, the phone kept ringing, saying, hey, we can't find this stuff. Because some builders stopped building. They just went out of business. And my brain was like, oh, because then I had excess, because we were always growing. I didn't dare market. We could barely build enough of this stuff. But finally, when it slowed down a little bit, I had some excess capacity in the factory and people were calling me. And I thought, oh, maybe it's counterintuitive, but it's a good time to market, to do some marketing when sales go down. Because yes, we started doing some marketing and letting people know what we do. But
Do you miss doing it yourself, or are you still involved to the point where you're?
I'm highly involved.
Are you?
Yeah, yeah.
It's not like you're just standing around looking pretty, turning around doing the back door stuff.
No. Matter of fact, I inspect every single piece of furniture, every component. So that's one thing I look at everything. You know, I don't want to ship anything out before I've inspected it.
How many employees do you have now?
30.
And your wife's part of this.
Yes.
Family operation. Does she help design, or is it all on you?
Pretty much all on me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you just get your ideas from what other people are doing, or requests from people, or you just have this visionary deal in your head. You just lay in night and count Aspen logs.
It's a hybrid. A lot of people have good recommendations. They suggest what we could do to improve our products, and we take that seriously. And so part of it is me just designing and engineering around also the limitations of the processes in a factory, and the other is based on feedback, and then my own, you know, inner designer, I guess you could say.
So your house is all log.
Well, you're 50-50. 50 log, 50 farmhouse.
Yeah.
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 So.
And do you find that there's less competition in the arena now than what there was? I mean, there's probably more people doing it, but there's a lot more people here than what there was 30 years ago. But is there less competition that's actually competing for the part of the market that you have?
Yes. When I started, you know, almost 30 years ago, there was log furniture makers almost in every town. They were all over the place. And they just slowly kept, you know, getting, maybe they aged out.
Yep.
You know, I'm getting close with
some of that. Some of that is, I mean, yeah, we get a little long in the tooth no matter what it is.
So I don't know, for whatever reason, they kept kind of, I don't know of that many people doing it anymore.
Did any of those guys that you dealt with or that you knew about, did they ever come and want to work for you because they said it's just easier to make the stuff than to turn around and be the business guy myself?
Yeah, I didn't have anybody apply for jobs, but no, but I knew plenty of them, and we had good relationships when they were working, and I would run into them sometimes at different trade shows, you know, and things, and just see them there and go say hey. But yeah, they've all kind of just moved on to something else or retired.
But you took it to another level. You're not just doing custom log furniture like you were before. You're doing production log furniture that has a customization to it. You and I discussed that earlier. Explain the customization to where we don't give the wrong impression to somebody.
Right, yes, we build like 15,000 products. And in that offering, we can put any upholstery, we can do different stains, and we can stretch them and shrink them. So you're not limited by the concept. Like even though a round table like this might come in 8 sizes, we could still hit the size you want, exactly. So there's a lot of customization within those products. So it's almost limitless what we can do with the products.
We talked just because I was looking at the bathroom vanities. I mean, if somebody wants a 24 or 36 or 48 or whatever, you can do all of that within reason. And then you've got different finishes. I mean, some of it is just the natural, I guess. Maybe it's called something else, but then you've got the gnarly.
And so explain like what we're looking at some of the stuff that's behind us. You've got the faces of the cabinetry, which is similar to the table here. That's different than what people envision of log furniture. That's still part of the whole concept. But explain that.
Yeah, and so we can do a log door, which is a log trim like this. We can also do a flat door, which I don't see them, but it's more of a traditional style of a cabinet door. So there's different styles, different textures, different colors. We have some wood grain that's really, really colorful, and we call that our rustic wood. And then we have our classic wood, which is a little bit plain. It's all aspen, but you get different textures. I think the trees soak up different minerals based on what mountain they're in.
Oh.
And sometimes we're opening up bundles and the lumber is just super colorful. So we set that aside for what we call rustic wood products, real colorful, people that want that extra character. And then we have more of the classic wood look that we set aside. We give that to people who don't want it quite so busy. So even though it's the same wood, there's different styles, I guess, that we say we offer within that.
And then you do some that is more. What's the finish on this?
This is an acrylic
Okay.
finish.
And then do you do like it's more of a gloss type deal where it's more of an epoxy, or do you do anything?
We do, well, we'll do a varnish. On tabletops in particular, we can spray on a varnish that's harder, that gets a little harder.
Okay.
Yeah. And that's something that we offer as well.
It is.
Extra protection for your tables
Okay.
if you want it. Some people don't want it. It's weird. Some people like
Just an
the
add-on.
time and the distressing. You get little dings and nicks, but they think that adds character, and so they don't want the extra protection. Some people want it to look like it does
Forever.
20 years from now.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
And do you deal with any builders that, I mean, you get somebody that wants to build a house and they want to decorate it log furniture. Are they coming in themselves, or builders coming in to say, I've got a customer that wants me to turn around and put log cabinets or log vanities or in here?
Yeah, it's mostly the customers themselves.
Is it?
It's mostly the customers. Now, what some of our customers do, maybe they're builders themselves, but they'll build a log home. I say log home, but you go to these homes and they're,
Yeah. Yeah.
they're really big.
It's not a cabin.
Yeah, come to my cabin, you show up, you're like, whoa, 3-story. Anyway, so they'll furnish the whole thing, and then they'll flip it, they'll sell it, but they sell it furnished. And so they'll just put all of our products in there, and it looks amazing. And then they build another one, and then they furnish it with our products, and then they just sell it furnished. And so we have some customers that are big customers because they just keep buying over and over. When they sell their home, they move on.
Really?
And they don't take the furniture with them. They just
They just go to another one.
go to another one.
That's an interesting concept. Too.
Yeah.
I mean, and we mentioned a little bit earlier about the accoutrements and accessories that you got. You got, if you want to decorate in a rustic log look, you've got the glassware, and you've got the table mats, and you've got the rugs, and you've got the chandeliers and the lamps, and we're going to show all that stuff. But you've got a variety of things to complete the accessories to where people can actually feel like they're decorating in an old rustic log look.
Yeah, and that was, again, by customer feedback over time. But our goal years ago was to create one-stop shopping. And there's a lot of noise out there. Like, there's a lot of people that sell a lot of products, but it's challenging, especially with online now, to know what you're going to get, what's the quality. You see a beautiful picture online, and it shows up, and you're like, "Oh, no, wait a minute, this isn't quite like as advertised, right?" So a lot of our customers come to us because they can trust that we're screening and only selling the best products. And we have customers that come, they do live elsewhere, let's say in Texas, they come here every summer, and they stop in every summer. What do you have? And they slowly are just furnishing, and they like shopping us because we have everything we buy kind of matches that rustic theme. And so everything in the store works, and it ties into their house. So they can have a collection to where everything ties in and flows.
And the nice thing about what I've professed, and we used to get some log furniture off of Mike Williams,
Yes.
in Woodland Park, and we got stuff off of you guys. But the thing that I told Mike was the majority of what we've accumulated over years becomes a hand-me-down. It's an heirloom. It's not something you buy at some of the major outlets that somebody might want it, but it's not something that has that aesthetic or that intrinsic value to it, to a family, organized effort.
Yeah, and that's the great thing about natural looking products is it's not a fad. It doesn't ever go out of style. So I ran into a friend who bought a bedroom set from me literally 25 years ago. I mean, it's been It was one of my first ones. I was still in college when he bought it, so put it that way. And he still has it. And I went to his house and he showed it to me, and it looks like the day he bought it. And I says, any problems? He goes, nope, the drawers still function the same. 25 years later, it still looks the same. And he says, we still love it. It's still relevant.
Really?
Most furniture you buy after 25 years, I don't think you're going to own it after 25 years, but he still loved it, still functioned, still looks great, still relevant. So yeah, it's kind of timeless.
We've got at our house, we've got two log beds, and the one is 30 plus years old. Maybe it's right close to there, because we've been married 34 years. And I think it's one of your beds. And I got it off of a guy in Colorado Springs who got it off of a guy in Woodland Park.
Could very well be.
But we've since bought another one of your beds. But I mean, just the craftsmanship is almost, it's almost exact. And there might have been a little bit of difference in manufacturing and stuff, but the timeless antiquing, the patina that goes along with it is pretty cool, because people walk into the spare bedroom and they're like, man, that's a badass, gnarly looking, big old headboarded bed. And we've changed that one out to where now we've got a bigger one that we got off you, I think about a year and a half ago. And they're just cool. Like you said, they're timeless.
Uh-huh.
You know, when people haven't been around it before, you can catch people walking into the spare bedroom to put their suitcase and stuff in there, and they're touching the bed as they walk around. Right. They want to feel the log and the gnarliness and the just the curvature of the bed itself. But that's what people do about natural resources. They like it.
Right. Well, and yeah, if you want to talk about natural resources or, protecting the environment, when you buy furniture that lasts a long time, that's actually better than the disposables, because replacing it. Mm-hmm. So, because for example, we moved into a new home a little over 16 years ago. I know that because my daughter was born shortly after we moved in. One of my daughters. We have 7 kids, so got to keep track of them all. Anyway, so I built the dining set, when we moved in there, and it's still there. We haven't touched it, haven't changed anything, but we'll have acquaintances over, and they'll see it and they'll think it's new. They're like, wow, we love it. When'd you get this? I'm like, 16 years ago. Like, 16 years ago? Yeah, it's so durable. It lasts forever. And it doesn't really, it just doesn't really change. And timeless. They thought we just bought it last year, so really? Yeah. 16 years ago and still relevant, still there, still, we're still congregating around the table.
So backing up just a little bit, when you started doing this stuff 30 years ago, were you finishing it like you're doing now, or were you just creating log and putting a little bit of cover on it and then turning around and getting it out? Because this is a learning process.
Well, absolutely. The finishes have definitely improved over the year, and that's just not me, that's the industry. And so they've moved more and more into catalog. I used to just put like varnishes and lacquers. Lacquers are too soft. But they came out with catalyzed acrylics and catalyzed varnishes where it's a 2-part and you mix it and you spray it and you have a short pot life. You got to get it on and you have to spray, you can't rag. And, but once you set up to do those, it's the way to go.
Really?
But the industry has really evolved on the finishes. So we're always, in fact, it was 2 days ago, I met with a rep from Sherwin-Williams going over the latest and greatest things that they're making. What are they developing? What are their, chemists working on that will help give us a better build, better product? And so that's you're constantly having to kind of, follow best practices and things like that. So you always have to be learning,
So give us a little rundown on the type of wood. It's everything you do is aspen.
Aspen, all aspen.
Of course, maybe that's different on the farm. Or
nope, it's all aspen.
Okay, but now the other stuff you get from, was that hickory?
We do a little bit of hickory log, but the panel is aspen, and we stain it to look like hickory.
Okay.
The hickory stain is one of our stains.
Okay.
And so it looks just like hickory. When I did it because at first I bought hickory wood, and I was like, well, I would rather just work with my aspen and stain it. It looks identical when you stain it. And so just for manufacturing purposes and for cost purposes, we just do all aspen.
Okay.
And different stains within the aspen. But it's all aspen. We do a aspen log, we do hickory log. And but that's it. It's the factory, because we mill all of our own lumber, and so we just try to keep to that aspen for efficiency and cost and quality. Because with our own kiln, we can guarantee moisture contents where you need to be, so you don't have any issues. And here in Colorado, we're dry.
Oh yeah.
The high elevation, especially wintertime, people run heaters. It's dry, and I've seen a lot of furniture doors that are warping, cracking, splitting, tables that open up. And every time
find them for
and my eyeballs, I go, oh, they didn't dry their wood, and I see it all the time. Yeah. I go to even high-end hotels, and their drawers don't work because things shrunk. And I'm like, they paid big money for this stuff, and it's not right. So there's a lot of people cutting a lot of corners out there. And when you're in the business, you know what you're doing. You can see it. You can just spot it everywhere. But most people, I tell you what, the number one problem is getting the wood dry enough. That is the number one. That's the key. Good wood makes good furniture. That's it.
And I know enough because I deal in a lot of different type of things, not necessarily the log furniture, but the things that I've done over the course of my life. You get something from Tennessee and bring it here, it dries out. I don't care what you do.
You're in trouble.
You turn around and take it from here, it might go back there and swell to some degree. Maybe not extensively, but enough to where you could notice something, whether it's a door or whether it's a window or whatever. We did that with a friend of mine had an old camper one time and had wooden window frames in it. Then he went back to Mississippi to go deer hunting. He couldn't open his windows on the camper because they all swelled. Right. It's like the camper's 45 years old, but it just sucked it up because there was nothing in there.
Yeah, and so we finish things 360. So we finish our shelves front and back. We finish our tables top and bottom so that moisture is moving, because wood still is going to breathe. It's still going to absorb and some of the humidity. In homes, there's always less humidity than outdoor. But we do ship out east, and so our inserts on our door panels, we purposely make them a little bit smaller than they need to be, so they can expand a little bit inside the frame and not have an issue. And because when we're shipping out east, we ship all over to all the lower 48. So when we do go to wetter climates, things will expand a little bit. So you have to allow for that in the design. Here in Colorado, things tend to shrink a little bit. But if you've planned for a little shrinkage and a little expansion, it shouldn't do much if your wood is right. Then your design will last forever if you've allowed for that variation. And even in Colorado, summer and winter are different humidity levels quite a bit. And so your tables and your products are going to have a little bit of expansion, contraction. But as long as you're within a margin of error, it doesn't affect your product.
And you probably have figured out a way to perfect that pretty meticulously over the course of 30 years.
Over 30 years.
It's like a science.
You figure out what moisture content you have to be at. It's called conditioning, but you get your wood dry, but then you have to condition it for 24 hours and make sure that you're within the atmospheric, humidity levels. And when you go to make your panels, that your wood is done moving and expanding or contracting, whatever it's going to do. And so, it's a science. And it took years to figure out what those numbers need to be. How dry is dry enough, but not too dry? How dry is dry enough so it holds up in Colorado, a dry climate, or Arizona? And if you don't want to be too dry, so it doesn't hold up in Tennessee and Mississippi. So it matters, and we documented everything, and we know right where to.
There's probably a fine line between.
There's a very fine line.
Yeah. And does it matter where your wood comes from, or does it just matter after you have it, what you do with it?
After you have it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, we can get the wood from anywhere. The trees that come to us that we make our lumber out of come from New Mexico. They come from as far away as like Delta and even like Cortez area, Durango, and from east of us. But we're getting it. But it doesn't matter where it comes from, as long as you get it to the right moisture content. It's fine. And we grade it out of the kiln, because if there is a problem with the board, the kiln will expose it. So then as you're grading out of the kiln, you're like, okay, this board's not gonna hold up.
And when we were talking earlier, you mentioned, just like the edges on here or the doorways and stuff, that's small trees.
The small trees, right, which are dead standing.
Dead standing, and that's natural cycle dead standing. Or could it be burned? Or do you deal with? You.
Oh no! If a fire went through there, it really doesn't work.
Not like it does on pine or anything, where they say because that's for lumber.
Right. Yeah, for lumber it would work. No, everything we have needs to be dead standing, and we wait intentionally until the bark is pretty much fallen off and the trees are kind of gray. If you ever see it in the forest, that's the really old wood. If you get it too early, if the bark is still on, there's still moisture in there, and it just doesn't work for furniture. And so our harvesters know, and we work in conjunction with the Forest Service, of, you know, what's allowable to take out of there for us. So we worked with them early on at the beginning years, of getting the right material. Because if it's dead, it's been dead that long, it's now just matchsticks standing up in the forest. And if you don't get them out of there, it's just going to burn down anyway.
Right.
And so we leave them up in the forest long enough for them to kind of fully, I guess, cure. Because we don't want to bring them down here. We don't have room for it. But once a area has already been dead for a few years and they're gray and the bark's off, then we'll cut them out of there and bring them down, turn them into furniture.
Has it gotten harder to acquire wood?
A little bit. I guess I would say, like, we've been in business long enough, some of the low-hanging fruit is gone. You know, the trees that were really close to us. So some of our harvesters have to drive a little bit further now to get a little bit higher elevation to get to some of the stands. But aspen's like a weed, it grows really fast. And I don't think people realize this, but it's just one, sometimes an aspen grove can just be one root system.
Oh yeah.
And so you get a disease in there and it just kills off literally like on this mountainside. And so after they die off a few years later, you know, we can get a lot of timber out of just one area. In fact, the Forest Service is like, yeah, get it out of there.
Get it out of here.
Get it out of
It's
there.
kindling is all.
Yeah, no, and it's small.
You got
and
new
it's
stuff
dry.
that's coming up
Yeah,
around.
and the new stuff wants to come up. And that's another reason. And you don't want to leave it too long, but also you don't want to leave it too long because you do want the new growth. And so we get it out of there so the forest can be healthy. Yeah, the Forest Service likes us because we're only going after the dead stuff. We're no green. And so we're really just helping manage that forest.
They'd probably like a lot of people to do something similar when it comes to a variety of different timbers.
They've been good to work with. At first, it was challenging, but when I was new, like in the beginning, everything was challenging, sourcing all the materials. But I worked with the Forest Service, really good to work with. I drove down there, met with them, because the small pole they give us under firewood permit, not like in commercial permits. And so, but you're only allowed 10 cords of firewood a year. But I'd go to them and I'd tell them, 10's not enough.
Yeah.
10's not enough. And so, you know, it took a while to convince them. And one of the managers, to his credit, came down and saw what I was doing. And I showed him all the racks of logs that I had. And I says, I can only get dead standing. He's like, okay, if you can certify it's only the dead standing stuff, I'll let you get more than 10. And I don't harvest it myself anymore, but once in a while they'll call me, hey, does this individual harvest for you? Because, you know, he's coming in applying for a second set of 10. They'll issue 10 permits at a time, 10 firewood permits. I was like, oh yeah, he's one of our harvesters. He's like, okay, I'll give him another 10, because he knows I don't accept green log. So if they bring it to me, we look at every log, we screen every log. And if they start getting green, I tell them, you can't harvest for us. So they know I'm kind of controlling that process. So I'm certifying these harvesters are only getting the driest stuff out of the forest. And we don't want to be cutting green trees. You know, you want to let those grow.
So just to where somebody that's watching to listen to this, if you cut a green tree, how long would it take for that?
3 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, years.
Yeah.
Years.
So they need to understand that this is not just something that just happens. It happens to has to happen naturally by Mother Nature. You can't really expedite that process on this.
Yeah, and it's also interesting, and I don't know, the forest up there must be cooler and maybe staying vertical. But if you bring green trees down, which some people do, a green tree gets in there and we set them aside, it just cracks open. It just cracks open. You'll have a huge crack, you can put your whole finger down in there. And it never really turns gray. I mean, I don't know. It doesn't, maybe there's not enough humidity down here. Like up in the mountains, I think there's more snow. It sits in snow all winter. I don't know what it is, but I can always tell if it was grayed up in the mountains, there's a different texture, character to it than if you try to cut it green and peel the bark and let it dry. That, like, it's weird. It doesn't work. Mother Nature kind of has to do it.
I've seen that on some old ranchers over the years that they used to use, well, they still use dead standing aspen for fence post. You know, just between metal posts, if nothing else. Well, a couple ranchers that their kids took over, and they went out and cut small saplings, you know, for the fence posts. But then within 2 or 3 years, they're replacing the small saplings because the staples wouldn't hold the wire to the green trees, because the green trees, just what you said, split. And they had to go back and then turn around and do it twice, but then they got dead standing.
Yeah.
So it's interesting you say that, because I've seen it firsthand.
Yeah. Yeah, you can't do it. And it's just one of those things I've learned. You know, you think you can do green and peel it and let it dry. No. Mother Nature needs to do it up in the mountains, and for some reason, That's the best way to get. If you want beautiful log furniture with good character, it's like a fine wine. You got to wait and let nature run its course.
The interesting part of the conversation is, do you have harvesters bringing things in all the time?
No.
It's
only during the summer months.
Only during
the
summer.
forest won't even let you in there in the spring or the
Okay.
spring. It's muddy and so they open the gates. I want to say somewhere around June 1st, and they let you in. And then we try to get it all down by fall. Usually by August, September, we try to be done. And it's cold. And once it snows up there, because aspen only grows in the really high elevations.
Right.
So once it snows, some of those trees will be buried under 10 feet. I mean, you can't. It's impossible. So it's a short window. So we bring everything down within 2-3 months. And that's our harvest season. And then we're done for the year.
You got to have enough to be able to get you through
For a
this.
whole year.
Yeah.
So when they're coming fast.
Yeah, you run a 100,000 square foot facility and you got 15,000 SKUs and 30 employees. You got a lot of stuff going.
We have 1,100. When we fill up at the end of the season, there's 1,100 cords. There's 1,100. There's 1,100 racks, and every rack is actually slightly more than a cord. I might have finished the year up with about 1,200 cords of aspen logs.
Really?
So the cord is 4 feet by 4 feet, and they 8 feet long, and they harvest them 8 feet long, and that's a Forest Service restriction.
Okay.
And then we take from about 2-inch, 2.5-inch diameter up to about 8-inch diameter, and yeah, they come in pretty fast during the summer months. Several cords, 10 cords a day, sometimes 15 cords a day.
So it's pretty good. It's pretty good turnover. Stuff's not sitting here in grass school.
No. Well, that's another problem. Once you harvest it, we try to use it. We try to have no more than 2 years on hand, and it's first in, first out. So it's coming in. We're using, because you get too much on hand down here, it does kind of start to weather. It'll kind of ruin in the field. So we can't be sitting on too much. There's got to be rotation.
Right.
So we're rotating through it. Yeah.
Do you ever get any criticism or scrutiny from people with misinformation about that you're out there clear cutting and you're taking? You ever hear that over the course of your career?
Yeah. Early on, I people would mention, forest man. They want, I guess, don't tread on me. Some people don't want anybody in the forest. And I was like, well, the problem is, if we don't take care of the forest, if man doesn't take care of the forest, nature will, which we can harvest it and get it out of there, or it will just burn down. One way or another, it's not going to last forever. It's going to rotate. The forest is going to rotate,
right, whether
whether we harvest it or whether it burns down. And yeah, I don't notice it as much lately, that conversation, but I think people hopefully have learned you got to take care of your forest. And maybe, Colorado, I don't know if you remember this, but a while back, we've had a lot of forest fires. This is going back a few years. And I think people started realizing it's true. If you don't take care of these things, and one thing is they get too thick. I mean, some of these stands of trees, when I was harvesting up there, an elk would come by me and he had big old antlers. He could hardly get through there. And he's whacking his antlers on, the trees were so close, you can't even walk through them. And then they're dead. And, this thing's just a matter of time till it burns down. And so I think people have realized if you don't take care of them and give the firemen a place to go fight the fire, cut some strips down. Nobody wants to clear cut, but sometimes you do need buffers so that when a fire inevitably does get going, you can go fight it somewhere.
Right.
And I worked with the Forest Service on some of those swaths where you could take out a little bit of the forest so they could have a line to go fight it at. Because they're like, we can't afford to lose all of our trees. And what people don't realize about Colorado is we have a lot of our industry. People don't realize how big our hunting industry is. I mean, it's big. You're in the industry, but the hunting, the fishing, the gaming, the division of wildlife is also really good to work with. But it brings a lot of people. And when our forests are burning down, they don't come. And then it kind of ruins it for future years. For a few years, it's beautiful 20 years from now.
Yeah.
But you also don't want to cut the whole mountain down, but you don't want it burning down either. And there's hopefully some education there that people can realize it's better for us to be proactive, take measures, and take care of these forests so that everybody can go enjoy them in the summer, rather than when they burn down. It's not that fun to go camping up there when it's all just black sticks,
Do you do much on private property?
We do both, yes.
You do?
We do some, yeah. Some private people have reached out to us and said, hey, could you send your harvesters over? We've got, and they're concerned. And ranchers, some ranchers.
It's mitigation for them.
Yes, and some ranchers have some big ranches. And they're like, we've got to get rid of some of this stuff because they're worried about their cattle. And if it all burns down, it can ruin some of their feed, some of the grass. So
When you got drainage washes and
you've got
rain.
mudslides. And
Exactly.
so we have quite a few private people that want us pulling off of their properties. And we've done that for people as well. So, it's just the communication, the dialogue that you have with people to make sure that we're getting what we need. And some stands I go to personally and see them and I tell them, you're not quite ready, give it a couple more years.
And like, really?
Yeah. And they're like, what? I was like, yeah, I just can't take it till it has to be ready before we take it. I'm not going to take it early because it's, like I said, it makes a mess.
Yeah.
They're like, okay. But everybody has been really good to work with. I got to be honest. The Forest Service, the private people, they've all been, we have a great community of people. And I haven't had a lot of pushback getting raw material.
Is there something that you can't go somewhere else out of state to acquire wood that's raw like that?
No, we go to New Mexico.
Do you?
I get quite a bit of my smaller aspen, ironically, out of Taos.
Really?
Some stuff comes out of there. Yeah.
Okay.
So no, I haven't had any restriction on that front either.
And is there a difference in that you notice? I mean, is Aspen or is there?
Yeah, Aspen's Aspen. Yeah. No, I haven't noticed a lot of difference.
How about when you say disease, is that typically some sort of fungus or is that insect? There's a variety of everything.
I wouldn't know. I know it's insect sometimes. I don't know about the fungus. But I do know when you get an issue in an aspen grove that it just spreads like wildfire. I mean, it just...
Because the root system is
system is connected. And, don't quote me on this, but I think it's like the largest living organism is an aspen.
Yeah.
Because it's one, people don't realize it can be like one tree. It just keeps splintering out.
Exactly.
And so you get disease in that stand and the whole stand just dies. And that's one of the shame. Now, nobody's up there thinning little aspen groves, but what happens is they grow so dense, so thick that during wet years and good years, it's all fine. But then we'll have a dry year, they don't get enough water and it weakens the system, the ecosystem of the aspens. And then once they get weakened, then bugs get in there, something gets in there, and then they get disease and then it just can't take it and it just dies. And then once it starts dying, it just affects the entire hillside. And so that's kind of, if somebody would go in there and thin them, which nobody's gonna take time to do that,
right.
You could probably protect it. But no, it doesn't really happen that way.
So when you first started, would you take a chainsaw and a bow saw? Or
Chainsaw.
Yeah, just walk around and say, I want this and this and this. And
well, the Forest Service back then, when I was working, they would tell me, here's where you can go. Okay. And they would, certain trees that we wanted to keep, living trees that were bigger, typically, they had paint, and they would just put a dot on all the trees that we couldn't take. And this is, you can take everything in here except for leave these, because we want them to continue to grow and whatever. Or if they had like a nest in the top or whatever. So they're very selective on what you can and can't take. The private people as well, they would say, hey, I want you to take this, but leave this, take this, leave this. So we really respect what people want us to harvest. But what they want harvested always makes sense for me, because I want dead standing. Right. So obviously if it's dead standing, nobody wants it left there.
Do you find areas, and I'm interested in the beaver conversation that we're dealing with right now. I mean, beavers are a keystone species, and some people think the beavers are going to solve all the world's problems, from, I don't know, taxes and world hunger and whatever the hell else. But it just depends on who you talk to. But beavers like willows and beavers like aspens. Do you get into a place where you've got some really cool trees that have been either gnawed or utilized by elk? And how do you get the gnarly stuff?
That's exactly right. Yeah, they call it elk chew, but there's more than elk. There's bears, and you can see the claws. Mm-hmm. There's beavers that eat on a lot, although the beavers are pretty aggressive.
Oh yeah.
And they'll, like the elk will chew the bark. They eat it for nutrition, in the wintertime, but they also rub the felt off their antlers on it. Mm-hmm. And they make these, so when it's a sapling, they sit there and they distress the bark, but then the tree doesn't like that, missing the bark. And so as it keeps growing, it turns the bark, the way they distress the bark, it turns into these elaborate, like configurations. It's like we call it gnarly because it's really cool looking.
That's the first bed that I was telling you about. That we got
It's
years ago.
gnarly. We call it gnarly, but it's a really elk chew or any critter that was up there distressing the bark, and then as it grows, whatever that distress was just kind of turns into some almost art.
That's what I was going to say. Some of it almost looks like it has bark in it.
Yeah.
That stays even in the final product. That you like it's something grew around it and then it formulated. It's not smooth like this. It's got that texture and it's got a bunch of different. We'll show some in the podcast.
Yeah, and that's the beauty of log furniture is we're not really making all of it. Like nature has done a lot.
You're just forming it.
Yeah, we don't want, and we try not to oversand it. You don't want to take too much away from what nature did. So, this is really nature's creations and we're just forming it into something usable, really. But the art, most of the art I would say is created by nature from us. So we kind of have a head start. It's nature does a lot for us.
Yeah.
So we try to leave it as natural as we can.
I doubt that I doubt very much of this customizable historical log furniture has ever ended up in a dump. Not like you don't just normally take a couch and people. I mean, you go down the road and there's a mattress on the couch and 3 TV chairs and I doubt that most of this stuff ends up.
No, in fact, we have a lot of people who have, for whatever reason, moving out of state or doing something, says, hey, we have one of your old sofas, let's say. And, but this thing is still 150 pounds, still durable, still solid. Like, we're not you don't dispose of this thing. And they're like, could you take it back? And we'll bring it back in and we'll sell it for them. And people come in again. It's like our dining set that's 16 years old. You wouldn't know it. People are like, oh, this thing's half off. Why? Well, it's just pre-owned. They're like, really? That's pre-owned? It looks brand new. I was like, I know, but I don't feel good selling it, because I'm just selling it off for them. And we turn it over all the time. Yeah, I've never seen someone throw it away. You can always sell it. And some people just try to sell it themselves. Some people bring it back to us and let us move it for them because we have customers coming in all the time.
Yeah.
No, this stuff is so durable. Yeah, like this table, you throwing that away, I can't imagine. So, yeah, it doesn't fall apart. It doesn't get rickety. I've never heard of someone.
And I think too, even if somebody wanted to get rid of it, there's a return on investment, a resale value.
There is.
That's there. Then it's different than buying a lazy boy chair that somebody's.
You're going to throw that in the roll off.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, our stuff, and we see it for sale a lot of times on like marketplaces and things. And like, that's my. That's something I must have built 20 years ago. I can tell, and it's on there, and they still have a pretty decent, a pretty decent price on it, and it sells. This stuff, it's like I say, it's timeless, it's relevant, it's heirloom quality because you could pass it down to future generations. It'll last forever. I can't imagine someone throwing it away, and that's the beauty is it's eco-friendly in the fact that it lasts so long. You're not filling up landfills with our products. You're handing it down to the next generation or doing whatever.
You're doing good for the environment because you're taking it off where it was the sticks and kindling.
It was going to burn down anyway.
Yeah, you're reutilizing it. You're bringing a level of intrinsic value that a variety of different people look at from different perspectives. Plus, you're making a family living off of it, and you're supplying 30 people a pretty good livelihood here in San Luis Valley. Plus, it's not going into the dump in the end.
Yeah.
And there's a level of craftsmanship that goes into this whole process from the guy in the field,
right,
grabbing it to bringing it in here. I mean, the job creation of that is the guy gets it, he hauls it, somebody comes in and does this, they get to that. There's a final product for sure, but it's not like you have people in the back room in dark closets. These are craftsmen.
Oh, absolutely.
These are woodworking craftsmen and women that are putting this product out that you designed that came off the landscape.
Right. Yeah,
it's a cool deal.
And I got to be honest, not anybody can do it. It's not just a science, but it's also an art. And so when you're making log furniture, you have to be aware of matching logs, which is hard to do because no two are the same. So you're cutting a bunch of parts, then you're pairing them up and you're trying to balance the piece. And so there's, you know, it's involved. And the people that are here, I call them artisans, you know, because you have to have there's a craftsmanship about you, and you have to have attention to detail that wouldn't exist in most woodworking manufacturing places where you're taking sheet goods and just cutting. That's a different deal. That would require maybe a different skill. We have to have people that really have a good eye for what they're doing and pay attention. And I say that because I have a lot of people come through here like, you know, you're just not, you just don't have a knack for what we're trying to do here.
Right.
And so you have to have the right people, the right artisans, the people that are true craftsmen, because it's also, you're not dealing with square parts, and it's not we build as efficient processes as we can, but it's not fully automated. You have people building this stuff and handling it. You know, it's.
You got a lot of finished product here, but to make it look like that, there's a lot of puzzle building.
Yeah.
I mean, you might have templates, but the template doesn't necessarily fit the log or the tree or the curvature or the design or whatever. And so that takes a little bit of idea preparation on how you're going to turn around and put this together. Because this tree might not compare to that tree at all. And they might be in the same stand, or maybe they're from different stands. But for you to get look-alike furniture, it has to have some sort of similarities to it.
Yeah, so no two pieces that we build are ever the same.
Yeah.
You know, identically.
That's customizable.
Right.
You know.
No two pieces look the same, but they look similar because the wood's always gonna have a different texture, different color. The logs gonna have a different texture, different color. So we're trying to pair those up. And the challenge of working with logs is it's always round, but it's never straight. It's always crooked, and you're dealing with different diameters. But you're trying to build a similar piece of furniture out of a great deal of variety. And so that takes it takes an eye. Let's say if you're gonna cut a piece of trim, you're looking down at like the barrel of a gun, because you got to decide, how am I going to cut this? And you can't just cut it. You've got to be like, you know, you got to know what you're going to turn that log into, and which ones pass the muster and which ones don't. Yeah, you like I say, you have to have an eye for it. You can't just put anybody out there just cutting. You know, you got to be able to see what this raw material is going to be. You have to, I don't know if that makes sense, but yeah, you can see a log and say, this is going to be a leg, this is going to be a spindle, this is going to be a trim. So when you're going through the product, the raw material in log furniture, you have to decide what that log is going to be. And so you have to know what your parts are.
Whereas if you're dealing with lumber, you get a piece, I like the grain of this, I cut it and I turn around and do what I want. So when you have a cord of log that comes in and you go, I need to make that cabinet there or that hutch, there's pieces in there that probably won't work for that. So it's not like you just turn around and take it. And
you're having to select. A lot of the raw material has to get selected and sorted so that you can separate from the parts that you need.
I mean, just look at the legs on the stools over there and the legs that we're sitting on here. They're similar in diameter.
Right.
But that cord that came in is probably not all the same size.
Right. So as they come off of the trucks, we have a 90-foot like green chain. And so they're throwing the logs on there, and then we size them, and they go into cords by similar size. It's never perfect.
Right.
Then as you get at the factory, then you start doing another level of separation. But yeah, there's a lot of sorting, because when it comes from the forest, you're getting a mixed bag. Then you've got to sit there and start breaking it down to usable logs based on character. Is it natural or classic wood, classic log, or is it gnarly log? Is it really crooked? Is it fairly straight? What's the diameter? There's a lot. Every log you have to consider, what's this log going to be? And every log, we receive about 100,000 logs in the summer, and you have to look at every single log and decide, what's this going to be? And that's a process.
Is that your job or somebody's
That's my job.
That's your job.
I look at every
So
log.
you're designing and you're sizing logs and you're visualizing exactly where that log is.
And I grade every board, I grade all the lumber, and I inspect every piece of furniture. And I actually inspect all the components to make sure that it meets the quality. Yeah.
When you first started, and we talked about this very, very briefly at the beginning, but when you first started, what was your vision besides giving your mom a swing?
Right. Well, okay, my vision was pay for college. Because I was making the swings and I was pretty good at it. I got fast at it. And I was like, wow, I can make a lot better money making somebody a swing than going and working, you know, at McDonald's or whatever I was going to do. And so I thought, hey, this is a good side job, because in college you have so few hours that you can actually work. And also in college, you have these class schedules that are hard for employers to work around. So, hey, if I'm building products for people, I could build those in the middle of the night. I could build anytime, weekends. So it was really good for a side job, and it was decent money. But like I said, when I graduated, it wasn't steady yet, because as I got bigger, we sell all year round now. But at the beginning, it was very seasonal. And so it was kind of a risk. I says, well, should I try to make this a full bore business, or do I go get a career with my education? And I thought, well, if it doesn't work out, I can always go, you know, get a job later. It's no harm, no foul. But I was like, now's the best time to try it. And it did. It kind of kept growing and growing, and it just kept growing. And like I say, no marketing. I didn't really have a plan. I love building furniture. Like, you know, it's just a passion. I don't know why. I just have a knack for it.
You just like it.
It's just me. Oh, that's what I do. But I loved it. So I wouldn't have kept doing it if I didn't love it. Like, I love it, you know. And so I just kept building it, and we just kept growing, and word of mouth kept spreading, and people kept wanting more furniture, and it just kind of happened. And it was paying, and then after a couple of years, it was paying the bills. And so I was like, hey, it did work out, right? So then I did have to start making a decision of, at one point, how big do I want to get? Because at first you're just trying to keep up with the math.
Right.
Then 10, 15 years go by and you go, now wait a minute, it's getting pretty overwhelming.
Yeah.
How much more?
You went from a couple chords during college to, you know, you're dealing with 1,100 chords a summer.
So yeah, you hit that point of going, okay, you know, now what? Like, how big do I want to get? What do I want to do? And I feel I'm happy, because I don't want to get overly big, because I like to have control over the processes. You know, I was like, my goal isn't to be a billionaire selling furniture. That's not my goal. My goal is to build beautiful furniture that people love for their whole life. And so I'm afraid if I get so big that I remove myself from the process, then I won't be happy. I like inspecting every piece of furniture. I like grading my lumber. In fact, one of my favorite things is grading the lumber, because we make beautiful lumber. I'm looking at this board, and I'm almost giddy. I'm sitting there I'm like, this is gonna make awesome furniture. And I'm going through, and then I reject quite a bit too. But I love looking at our lumber. I love inspecting our logs, because I'm looking at the raw product going, this is gonna make awesome furniture. And so I don't know, I love that. And
what's your preference? What flavor, what finish, what look? What you like yourself?
I love the gnarly, obviously, because the natural and the distressed. I love, in our farmhouse, I love the rough sawn. I'm a rustic guy, and so the more rustic, the better for me. I love that. My wife, though, a little more refined, so we've had to compromise. You know, on our home, we have some log, but it's natural. Although I would have gone with gnarly, but she doesn't want to clean in the little crevices, and you know, we have 7 kids, so we went natural log.
And peanut butter in there, and whatever else.
So we did farmhouse furniture. We didn't do the rough sawn. We did smooth. So yeah, you know, but I like the really rustic look.
That for sure. I mean, this is all one of a kind, but for the amount of rustic log gnarly stuff that I have, 6 or 7 pieces of gnarly, it's all completely different. I mean, there's a similarity because it's gnarly, but they don't look anything like this, and that's the cool part,
right?
You know, because each piece is like a wooden canvas that Mother Nature created, and you just wonder. I wonder the story that tree could tell, what elk or what bear or what beaver or lightning strike or whatever it would be. And I've noticed too that you can tell the difference in the type of wood where it came from. And I'm not a woodologist by any means, but seeing maybe drought conditions versus wet years, and just looking at what you have of the collection of what you got, and it's just a cool deal, because it's an artistic component of Mother Nature.
Right. Yeah, I think, which is what I've done for almost 30 years, but that's what keeps me maybe engaged, is because it's so unique, so different, so beautiful, you know. You just don't get tired of it. So it's probably what I'll retire doing, building furniture.
So are they going to put you in a pine box or an aspen box?
Aspen box. I have built a few casket for friends, family of my dad's. I'm not in the casket business, but I've built some. Labor of love, But I don't know. I guess I'd have to pre-build it if I'm going to get one for myself.
Start designing it and let the staff do that when the time comes. And say, well, let's make sure he doesn't.
The only problem with caskets I've had is usually I have a 2-day window, because someone dies, and they're like, "Can you build a casket?" I'm like, "Oh, here goes a couple of midnight," So I'll do it usually.
So it's not like you got a line of them in front of the store like they used to at the Undertaker's place.
I just mentioned it because one of my friend's sons just passed away, like literally 2 weeks ago, and I built a casket for his son. And I told my wife I should really have these on hand because it's rough when you got to drop everything, and I can build them fast, but still, it just takes time. And I'm here till midnight, a couple of nights building it. I was like, boy, I'd love to do this in advance, and so that I have them just kind of on the ready, because it's obviously I'm getting older, all my family's getting older, my mom's getting older.
Get them aside.
I'm like, it hurt my wife's parents. They're like, no one's getting any younger. It's just a matter of time. So maybe
So when people walk in, you just go up with a tape measure and start measuring them right off the bat.
I don't want to get in the casket business, but for family and friends, I've built some, so I might stock a few. But anyway, because and every time I do, people love the natural wood. We stain it usually, but I mean, they love the character of the wood, and
it's
I always make it out of aspen. So yeah.
And it's simple. And we mentioned earlier, you got stuff for every room in the house or office or whatever. So you got the bathroom accessories, you got the bed, you got the dressers, you got rec room type stuff, you've got office stuff. Is there anything that you don't make at this point in time?
Yeah, I can't think of anything. We've had requests over all the years, people requesting furniture to, because they want to match their collections. And I can't.
You got gun cases.
The only thing that's changed, the furniture world, and things change. We used to build a lot of entertainment centers, big, bulky entertainment centers. But now with smart TVs, and nobody really has DVD collections and CD collections and whatever they used to have.
Well, they still do, but
VCR. Remember the VCR?
Yeah.
VHS. No, so now we've gone I just actually discontinued those. I'm like, I haven't sold an entertainment center in years. So there's some things I stopped making just because there's no demand. And a lot of the furniture has become daintier, smaller, because now everybody has everything on their phone or some digital device to where they don't need as much storage as they used to have. And so things are kind of getting a little bit smaller, ironically, like this little TV stand. And a lot of people are just doing our TV tables because they just want simple and sleek. And that's fine, but we build it all. I can't think of anything we don't make. I haven't had requests for anything, Well,
if you went from caskets to entertainment centers, you kind of get a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
What about the accoutrements and accessories? Has that changed over time to where people, they didn't used to have rugs and runners like what they do now?
Yeah, we buy in a lot of rugs. That we do sell a lot of rugs. I think that's more recent, but recent last 10 years, right. We also make all of our own placemats. We used to buy some in, but again, I wasn't that happy with the quality and the variety. Again, I like to control the process. And so we have all of our fabrics. And that was one of those customer requests, like, I love your fabric, can I get a placemat? And I was like, oh. So
never thought about that.
So yeah, we did it. We've only it's easy because we have a laser cutter that cuts all of our upholstery. So yeah, we just make placemats. We actually sell a ton of placemats. It's almost kind of shocking, and little coasters for coffee cups.
Table runners.
Yeah. So we make all that for people. We make all the pillows, but we do buy in a lot of dishes and dishware and mugs and all that, and artwork. We do some of our own. We have a plasma cutter because I build a lot of my own equipment that makes the furniture. Because log furniture, you can't just buy something from, a piece of equipment that deals with the irregular shape of log. So we build a lot of our own equipment. So I have a plasma cutter. So we cut all of our metal art switch plate covers, and we sell a shocking amount of switch plate covers. It's amazing.
It's hard to get. It's hard to get good quality, different looking ones. You can go to Lowe's or Home Depot, and there's a. I just got done doing some for a studio, and I need to get some from you for the light switch covers. But stuff that is going to be behind the couch or the chair or bookshelf or something, I'm not going to turn around and make a decorative deal on it. It's just going to be a switch plate cover. But it's hard to find what you guys produce.
Right. Well, and we used to buy in some switch plate covers and some metal art, but the problem I kept having was the suppliers. So
Yes.
flaky.
Yes.
One thing we've done is in almost 30 years, we've never really missed a production deadline. So if we tell you your furniture's gonna be ready on a particular date, it's ready on that date. And of course, we have customers that come to us, like, hey, I'm opening my cabin for a week in December. It will be ready. And if I tell them, yeah, I'm like, even if I miss that by 1 week, they won't come till summer again.
Right.
Like I can't miss deadlines.
Exactly.
I don't miss deadlines. Part of that's not overcommitting, but part of that's just being organized, I guess. So
And being in control of your own destiny.
yeah, well, and that's one reason I make we do everything in house is because a lot of what I try to delegate, people don't come through, and then it reflects bad on me.
Right.
And so the switch plate covers, I kept trying to get this guy to bring me certain configurations because people need the triple rock or the quad or the double or whatever they're doing. And in the moose or in the elk or whatever. And I just couldn't get those things, and months would go by. Like,
And waiting on one switch.
it's embarrassing. The customer keeps calling and I'm just like, I don't know what to tell them anymore. And so I was like, I'm just going to cut my own. Oh, and since we have, it's wonderful. I think that's why we sell so many, because people I really want to make sure they're all the same in my house or whatever I'm doing. And, but to do it, I've got this weird coaxial cable. I've got this weird configuration, but I still want your artwork or whatever. And so I was like, yeah, no big deal. We make them. We'll just cut it for you and get it out. So yeah, I used to buy that in, but I had major issues with suppliers coming through and delivering on time and bringing me what I want. So yeah, we do as much as we can in-house, just because we want to stand behind everything we do and deliver it on time and with the quality that is acceptable for us. So
You're here on Highway 160.
uh-huh.
This area has grown exponentially in the last 10 or 15 years. Some of it is higher end. I mean, you get into the South Fork and the Pagosa and all that. Were you originally from Alamosa?
Yes, grew up here. Uh-huh.
And you went to college here at Adams State?
Adams State, graduated at Adams State, yeah.
And you decided to keep your business here, but the market was not always the same as far as more of an affluent clientele that wanted to decorate a whole house. Correct?
Yeah, when I started, like I said, I was just selling at some county fairs here in the Valley. So the market was decent way back then because I would sell quite a few swings just at a little festival here. And so people were buying it up, and that's how I got some people from South Fork, whatever. Nothing like today.
Yeah.
Creed has really grown. Part of that was getting lucky, but there were a lot of people putting cabins up in the mountains around us. And so that's kind of how I got into it, was because people were demanding the products here. But it did, I guess I was lucky on that front, was it did just keep growing and keep growing and keep growing and keep growing. And so we were able to grow with that growth. So yeah, a lot of people come here and usually it's second homes, people that live in warmer climates, build a cabin here.
And do any of those people have stuff here of yours and then have it back in their...
Yeah. You know what's funny? Talk about hunting, and we're in that season now.
Yeah.
I am shocked how many hunters, come by our store and they'll have ATVs on this trailer and elk in the truck or whatever. And like, oh, we love your stuff. And just, they're calling their wife on the phone, sight unseen, honey, I'm going to buy some furniture. She's like, what? They will pack. We're foaming and packing furniture all around these ATVs, and they'll haul this stuff back to Arkansas or wherever. Because they're like, you can't get it out there. They love it. They love the quality. They love the price. And they're like, I won't be back for a year. I mean, maybe not. And so like, get it now. So
That's not sufficing my wife because I came out here and went hunting.
Yeah, I can't tell you how many people that come here, and also how many people are here on vacation from all over the country. And I'm kidding you not, all over, even Canada. And they see this stuff and they're just blown away. And so they're like, we got to have it. We're not coming back. They've gone and they've rented U-Hauls. Come back. So they load it up. They load it up and then they drive off. And I'm like, that's amazing. Like they love it so much. They're like, I'm not going to pass it up. I'm not going to come back this far. They're on a family trip or whatever. And yeah, thousands of miles. They'll drive it home in a U-Haul.
When we had our store in Canyon City and we ran it for 25 years, we closed the big store down in 2012. But the story that I'm telling was a family came from Maine and they were on vacation, and they came from here and they bought furniture and put it in their motorhome. But they bought so much of it in their motorhome that they had to get motel rooms to spend because there was no way to get the stuff out. And they were just tickled to death.
Yeah.
And I remember them vividly because they bought 2 deer heads to put in on top of the furniture to be able to decorate their house back there. But he said, I'd never thought I'd be driving at that time, like a $95,000 motorhome and staying in motels because it was full of stuff that
full
I bought
of furniture.
Trip.
Yeah. No, so it's kind of, if people, because not everybody's making this stuff. And honestly, Aspen doesn't really grow that much outside of the Rocky Mountains. And so they're like, it's unique. Yes, you could ship it, but they're like, no, because every piece is different. So they'll come in here and they'll fall in love with a bed. And they're like, well, could you build another bed? Well, yeah, but
it's not gonna look.
It's never gonna look like that bed. And we keep about 20 or 30 beds on hand. And they'll walk by and one of them just speaks to them for whatever reason. I'm like, I gotta have that bed. And then they're just loading up stuff. So, it's, like I say, it's an honor. I think it's why I love it. Customers do stuff like that. It makes you feel pretty good that, wow, they're willing to put furniture in an RV and sleep in rooms because they love it so much. Yeah. They don't want to pass it by. They put it in whatever they can. So yeah, that's, I think, what keeps me kind of going, I guess you could say, ticking along.
And you get the return customers and stuff.
Oh,
they're just.
I've literally 20 years, 25 years, I have people still coming back, buying from us. And a lot of them purposely stop because we're constantly doing new things, improving our designs, bringing in new products. So people will stop by, want to see what's new. And like we got another little project over here. We're just wrapping up. And a lot of them, it says, this is the only place we buy furniture. We will never go anywhere else. And so the good thing is we customize enough that, like, hey, I want to fit this vanity over here or do this over here. And so we're just constantly building for people. They've bought from me every year for like literally 20 years. But yeah, and I come up here, it's like, oh, I'm not in the showroom as much because I'm in the factory, but I run into people all the time up here. And sometimes they call me up, hey, you've got a friend, and so I run up here and see who it is, That's cool. Some customer from 20 years ago, still buying.
How many pieces of fabric or upholstery do you have for people to be able to select from?
I want to say 50 or 60 different fabrics.
Mostly Southwest and Lodge and Rustic look.
Yeah, we have quite a few solids. They're solids with texture that people really like, kind of like microfibers. And then we have a few Southwestern prints, but a lot of Lodge prints. Some of them are just patterns, but some have like animal themes on them. There's elk and deer and bear and stuff like that on them. People who love that really love that, and some people don't want to go that far. But we have a good variety, and it all matches our products really well. So
and it's comfortable,
very comfortable. Yeah, we get compliments on that all the time. Though one thing that for me, when I was first designing, if it's not comfortable, it's not worth making. So in the very, very beginning, even the chairs, I'm like, you've got to get the seat angles and the back angles just right, or it's not going to sit comfortable. The sofa's the same way. Everything we ever design has to be comfortable. The good thing is my wife, I'm 6'5", my wife's 5'4". So, I don't approve any design or concept till we both sit in it comfortably. I'm like, you sit in this for a while and tell me if it's not comfortable, I've got to do something different. And if we both agree that the density of the foam is right, that the comfort is right, the angles are right, then I'm probably onto something. If I'm comfortable, she's not, then maybe I need to keep reassessing. Another thing we do on the foam, since we're on upholstery, and I'm just thought of this, is that was another trick that took a long time to figure out. Furniture foams, come to find out, I struggled in the beginning, are very cheap. Furniture people are typically cheap. I'm not quite sure why, But
did the good stuff.
yeah, I don't know why, but all their foams broke down, and it just drove me nuts. And people were returning cushions, and we honor our products, and so we just do a new insert. And I was like, that's not right. So in my research, I came across automotive foam. So for example, in your truck and car, I was like, that foam lasts forever. I don't break down my truck seat. I don't go in there and there's this big body impression. So I only buy automotive foam, which is like 3 times denser, which means it's not going to break down like a furniture foam. And so the automotive industry, maybe it's such a small portion of the budget goes into the foam in a truck that they pay the extra amount. So I only use automotive foam. So our cushions, those things last forever. And it's comfortable. Like your truck seats are designed to sit there for hours, not move. And so, it's got to be comfortable.
If you're looking to explore your opportunities to hunt out west, maybe try Colorado. If you're trying to get information about bighorn sheep, elk, deer, private land, public land, maybe it's everything that you want to do as far as pack-in trips. Maybe it's just having a pack trip decided for you, and then when you get there, you just hunt out of a drop camp. Make sure you check out the Colorado Outfitters Association. Colorado Outfitters Association here in the state of Colorado has got a numerous amount of outfitters that are members, and they can supply you with whatever you're looking to try to acquire and what you want to do for the hunt of a lifetime. For more information, check out the coloradooutfitters.org and make sure that you let them know that you heard about them with Through the Gates, and let them know that you're trying to continue to save the hunt in the state of Colorado. We always talk about supporting businesses that support our efforts to be able to save the hunt in Colorado. Well, the Colorado Shed Company in Penrose, Colorado, just outside Canyon City, is one of those partners. Colorado Shed has been building sheds in the state of Colorado for the last 10 years and is actually owned by sportsmen and women. They support the efforts of what the Coloradans for Responsible Wildlife Management has done, and they also support all the organizations that you're probably a member of. Whether you're looking for small modular type buildings, sheds for your property to store the extra hunting equipment, or maybe just to turn around and put that freezer in for all the meat that you've got, check out Colorado Sheds. They also do pole barns and can do custom manufacturing to whatever your heart desires. She sheds, man caves, it doesn't matter. Check out coloradosheds.com. A testimonial that I've got is not too long ago, just a couple years ago, we went around and looked for a new love seat. And my wife said, I want it to be rustic. So we gave all the big box stores a chance, because you're looking at a love seat.
Right.
And I bet we sat on, 1,000 love seats from Denver all the way down to Pueblo in different configurations, and the big box stores and small mom and pop stores and everything. And I said, well, what about going over to the log furniture place? And she said, in Alamosa? I said, yeah. She said, well, they do the upholstery? I said, yeah. We got 1 or 2 pieces, but she didn't visualize that because of the other stuff that we've got in the house. We came here, she sat on one love seat, and and I remember vividly back in the back room, she sat on one love seat and said, this is it.
There you go.
And she said, can you do it in this? And the young man that was working here at the time said, yeah, we can do whatever. And then we ordered a fold down couch that expands into a futon bed at the same time. But the people that come to our house and stay in the secondary apartment, and you fold that futon down, they'll get up and come to breakfast the next morning, and they go, the hell kind of bed is that? I said, well, did you not sleep good? No, I slept like a flipping... So there's something there that it's not like a high-end hotel bed, but between that and the love seat that we've got, you could tell that the product is really quality because we've still got it and people praise it. And it was so easy because we went from store to store and place to place and put our butts in every single thing that you could possibly put. And we ended up getting something here on the upholstered side that most people would not think of when they think of log furniture.
Right. Yeah, I appreciate that. Well, yeah, and on the futon, it's funny you say that. We don't use futon mattresses. I tried for years, but they're lumpy and bumpy. And so we use a legit mattress. And in order to get it to bend, we have to cut like a little relief slit on the back side, so it will, because it's too stiff to sit in.
Yeah.
But again, to me, if it's not comfortable, I'm not going to do it. And so it took quite a bit of engineering. Everything has taken a lot of engineering to get it. It's got to sit right. It's got to feel right. It's got to have quality, comfort, and aesthetics. It's got to look nice. And so you're kind of trying to hit that sweet spot of delivering.
And that piece that I'm referencing is, and we can show one if you've got them, but it's to where the people can understand. It's a sofa that folds down into a bed.
Right.
And then when you're ready, you just turn around and push it in. It's not a what they call it, a hydro sofa or a sofa bed or anything. It actually is all one piece. And while I'm thinking about the movable parts of things, you do rocking chairs and you do gliders and you do a variety of
recliners.
things. Yeah,
all
sorts of stuff. So people need to understand that it's not just log and some side upholstery. It's everything that you could possibly think about furniture that you've incorporated into utilizing the natural wood and natural log.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's by design. It's also by request, by feedback. People are like, hey, I love this, but I want this. Can you do this? I'm like, oh, well, okay. Yeah. So for a lot of years there, I was constantly designing furniture for a lot of years. That's kind of stabilized now. But it took a lot of engineering, a lot of ingenuity to create not only the designs, the concepts, and the products, but then simultaneously you have to create, when you're making something, especially for in production, with a production mindset, you have to create the systems, the jigs, and sometimes the machines to build the parts, to build the furniture. So it's a lot of this because I design my machines, I design the jigs and the systems and the processes that create the products. And so it's a lot of kind of working through how are you going to get this done? And which is what I love. That's my favorite thing, is probably designing not just the furniture, but the machines that make the furniture. That's like my favorite
That's a big
thing.
deal.
And then when you're all done and you build it, this machine, and it actually works and it's kicking out parts and you're like, hey,
Yeah,
I did that,
pretty good.
And so that's what I love, designing things, engineering things, creating things. That I would say is my probably favorite part of the job. Constantly doing it, still doing it,
Well, and I'm hoping that our audience on this, and maybe it expands out of that, but our audience on this can actually relish in the fact that you're creating something from the landscape of Colorado. It's made in Colorado. It's all the product that you have that you're manufacturing is handcrafted craftsmanship in Colorado.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you pointed that out, because we get a lot of customers coming from all over the country, honestly, that stay here and have here, and they all either they want to take a piece of Colorado back with them, so they buy our products, or if they build a cabin here in Colorado, they're like, I'm not going to buy something from China and put it in my house in Colorado. So like, I want something made in Colorado for my Colorado home. And so it's just a match made in heaven kind of a thing. They're like, oh, perfect. We're so glad we found you. We didn't want to go put this IKEA basically stuff or whatever in our big old log cabin. And so, it's a perfect fit for people that love that Colorado look. No matter where you live, but in particular in Colorado,
That's cool.
It's what people like.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, I got to say, thank you very much for taking the time. We're going to take a tour of the factory. We're going to include some of those clips into the audio and video side of this, and we're going to do some advertising for you. Give you guys some B-roll that you can do whatever you see fit with. But is there any final comments or statements? One question I was thinking about before we get into that: significant challenges that you've had to deal with from a utilization, a product acquisition, or just a business side of things over the course of the last 30 years, growing a family-run business from doing a swing for your mom to the level where you're at today. Any big challenges and hurdles that you had to deal with straight across the board?
Well, I don't know if I would call it big hurdles or death by 1,000 bricks. You get, yes, in business, it's not all peaches and cream. It's like there's always a challenge. Like, you're never not in the middle of what feels like a crisis, right? There's always a challenge sourcing materials. There's always a challenging hiring enough qualified people. There's always a challenge. Okay, I won't go negative, but dealing with government is not fun. And Colorado 20 years ago was a little easier to navigate. Now they're not making it very easy on small business owners. I gotta be honest. They're doing things that make it pretty rough on you. Sometimes you wonder if they even want you in business anymore, the way they're ramming things down your throat. But I guess you take it all in stride. But I'm used to it. I told my wife, even just a little while ago, I was like, it feels like when you're in the ocean, you're standing there and a wave hits you, knocks you over, and you stand up you just catch your breath in time for another one to knock you over. And that's how I kind of feel for 30 years in business. You know, it's like, can I just catch my breath for a minute? No, there's kind of always a challenge. In some ways, though, I kind of like a challenge. And so I guess, you know, my message would be, if you don't like a challenge and you're not willing to endure some struggle, don't start a business. You know, it's not easy and it's not for the faint of heart. And, but sometimes, you know, but it does, maybe it builds character. And I work with character, you know?
Yeah,
and so
everything's individual, and you just gotta take it one step at a time.
yeah, no, it's always a challenge. I couldn't pinpoint any one thing, but it's a lot of things. And sometimes in business, there's a lot coming at you, and you just got to navigate the times. And and for me, what I do, focus on the customer. There's a lot of negativity, and there's a lot of sometimes challenges that come up unforeseen and problems. But what makes me happy is the customers are happy. People that are enjoying my products makes me happy. And then you're like, well, it's all worth it, you know?
You know, when people go home, they're sitting around your tables
Yeah.
and eating dinner or watching television at your old entertainment centers or sitting at their desk or on their sofa or whatever. That's got to be pleasing in itself, that you created something through your vision of 30 years to get to a point to where you know where you're getting the product, you know how the product is crafted, and you know that people are utilizing the product to the point to where it's kind of the continuation in my mind of a story of a 100-year-old tree or a 50-year-old tree, and how it gets utilized, as opposed to just cutting it and burning it and making heat for somebody, you know, that lived in a cave doing petroglyphs 150 years ago or the 150 million years ago. You look at what we have now, you're creating part of people's lives.
Right.
And it's from the start to the finish.
Yeah, and the memories. And I think the thing that I would say I probably enjoy the most, you know, as much as making the product, making the machines and the products, but is that someone will send me an image of them using the furniture. Hey, Thanksgiving around your 10-foot table. And I'm like, oh, it just warms your heart, you know? And so, yeah, the people that message me and show me their home set up and being used and how much they love it, and all their guests that come and love it. And that really just, you know, like I said, keeps you going, keeps you, you know, fighting another day.
That's cool.
Sometimes it's a battle. It's
cool.
I'm not gonna lie to you.
So if somebody wants to talk to somebody about log furniture and how to acquire something, what's the best way to get a hold of you guys?
Well, I would say rusticliving.com. And then on there would be our information. They could talk to Jerica, who Jerica's over there hiding out.
Yeah, and I wanted to give her a plug because since I've been dealing with her the last couple of years, I mean, she's just a great person to deal with. She's a great representative of your business.
Absolutely.
She's knowledgeable, and she never ever commits without checking with you. She wants to make sure that.
That's what I say.
I'll have to check with Randy.
I don't want to commit to something we can't deliver on.
Exactly. But she's just great. And a lot of people would end up, if they call here, they'd end up talking to her.
Yeah, and she could help you out with it. She knows the product inside and out. It's sad sometimes. Well, no, all the time. You can ask her. I come up here and I was like, okay, where's this information? Help me find this. What's going on? What's this customer want? I don't, you know. She's on top of it, and I get, you know, my mind's going 100 miles an hour and other things sometimes. So yeah, she would be the person to talk to about all the ins and outs of the product, and she knows it like the back of her hand. But yeah, they can call, talk to one of our salespeople, and everything is online. All the options are on there. You can just see it all on there.
You got a catalog or anything?
Just the website.
Okay.
We used to, but anymore, most people don't want the clutter.
It's the bulk.
It's all on. You can get on your phone, your iPad, your website, wherever you go, you can see our products.
Okay.
So
cool.
They're all on there. So,
and we'll include all your address and store hours and everything on this. And we just appreciate the opportunity and look forward to continuing to build on the relationship and the partnership, and try to help you guys out, but by also trying to continue the message of conservation. And log furniture is part of conservation.
Absolutely.
Whether it's new log or old log or whatever anybody uses, you're doing a hell of a job. I'm just pleased that I think that the product that we've had over the years, I think everything we've had is coming from your facility and from you. I don't have any swings from when you were making them with your mom, but I think that people would just enjoy and relish the opportunity to acquire what you guys have, and I just appreciate you taking the time and creating that relationship.
Yeah, well, thank you. Appreciate it.
Thanks for joining us for this episode of Through the Gates. For more content like this, make sure that you like, follow, and subscribe on all of our channels.